All right, we're back at it again. Get Magic Mary and Tevi Lawson. Um,
Incredible to me.
thank you. So yeah, we were just talking about, the general idea of building a community, you know, because all these conversations that we're having, basically, it's kind of like building blocks to people, progressively reprogramming themselves. So it's not just a matter of one conversation or grabbing one piece of information and, running away with it. This is a lifelong journey of, raising your awareness around certain things. So I believe each conversation matters. I believe that every single time we get an opportunity to open people's eyes about certain things, that can be the spark, that can be the day for someone. So that's why it's important to keep having these conversations and having these exchanges just to keep broadcasting for who is out there listening and needing to hear these messages.
Well, what's beautiful, Tevi, is what we've done is we have a collective group that's all over the world, in many spectrums and many arenas of life, of jobs, uh, even ones that are going through school,
Mhm,
uh, many ages, kids that are just starting off. Like
mhm,
I mentioned, that little girl that just stood in front of my house, 3 years old, and says, I have to go in there to her grandmother.
mhm.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a collective energy, and we're pulling all these beautiful energies together.
The message itself carries its own energy. Our job is to do the best we can to put it out there, right?
Right, it does. It carries its own energy.
Yeah,
And any materials that we write about, it's infused by the God force, the creator of all.
yeah. Because it's
And
easy to, get to the place where it's like, well, no one is listening, no one is paying attention. Yes, everybody's distracted nowadays. It's the holidays, it's one thing after the other, it's the elections, it's the hurricane, it's something, it's always something. So it's easy to get discouraged, like, oh yeah, people may not be paying attention, but in reality, there's somebody out there that needed to hear this one thing today, right? Or whatever day got to them.
heavy. When my son Eric was very young,
Hmm.
and he would be riding his bicycle home.
Hmm.
And when I would be coming in from my office, I would see him ahead of me, and I'm going, dear God, all his papers are just flying off the bicycle.
Yeah.
And I would pick them up, and one was a report card. And he wrote very young. He would write all kinds of things. And so when and they were profound at a young age.
Mhm.
And I said to Eric, I said, all your paperwork I just found on the ground in the report card. And he said, well, it's already done.
Mhm.
It's already gone into consciousness. I'm done with it. That was that's incredible because as we're talking, it's going out to the consciousness of all because we are one.
Yep.
So it is very profound that he said it at a very young age, but the
Yeah.
younger ones are teachers.
Yeah. So
And
I guess go ahead.
I think it's great what you just hit on. People, it's the holidays,
Yeah.
many holidays, many religions
Yeah.
join in their festivities,
Yeah.
and how people get affected by the surroundings. I think that's a huge topic because it's more than just the holidays that are affecting people. It's the daily news,
Yeah.
political, religion, whatever it is. And I mean, right now, it's a buzz about the these drones going through the sky all over the world, right? And people have their own theory and agenda and
Yeah.
all of that. So it's it can really mess with people's minds
Yeah.
of what this is. And it brought me back Tevi,
Yeah.
before our time, in the 1930s, when Orson Welles was on his radio
Hmm.
show and talked about the invasion of Martians coming to New Jersey. And everybody flipped out, running around, went crazy. The world had ended, like chickens with their head cut off, just running all around.
Yeah.
And and to me, this is an old playbook of here we go again. And
Oh,
it's so interesting because where were these seen
in New
at
Jersey.
first? New Jersey. So we really have to look at our surroundings and then go within and say, is there something that doesn't feel right?
Hmm.
What is this really about? Instead of, oh, this could be a bad alien invasion, or this could be something that has been maybe hidden for a very long time and being used. Who knows? So,
I think people are just programmed to interpret anything that's out of the ordinary as a threat. Everything that is unknown, anything that hasn't been seen before or seems new or different, people automatically just assume that it's something negative. Nobody ever talks about aliens as something positive. What if they're bringing you, bringing new knowledge and, a new sense of awakening for people to finally, stop stressing themselves for absolutely no reason, right? But people in general will take these things and just interpret it as another reason to be stressed out, as
right,
if everything else going on wasn't enough, right? So it's like even when we talk about the holidays, right? On paper, this is supposed to be what? Joyous occasions and family coming together and, you know, happy times or whatever. But then for a lot of people, it's a nightmare, right? There's a lot of people getting to face the reality of their financial means, getting to face family in ways that they don't really, have the tools to deal with, you know, and the stress on top of everything else they have to deal with. Now they're like these obligations of things they're supposed to be joyous. Then it
right.
becomes a nightmare, right? Because you have to have this budget and do all these things for the holidays when it's like it's a bunch of grown-ups. They can take care of themselves, you know. It's about getting together. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's about
Yeah,
getting
exactly.
together, taking a break, from a long year, kind of reset your mind and get positive about the upcoming year. But again, people turn it into a way to get stressed out.
Right.
And all this is
It's
just a lack of awareness.
exactly. And a created, people think they have to create a fairyland, a magical place, for the day of people coming in with all these packages that they can open up and they charge them, and then January comes and the bill comes, so more stress. Um, getting and I think people are doing this, getting back to the basics when I was first married and children coming along. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money when I got married. I
Um,
had $200 and thought, that's a lot. you know, wow, I have $200. What are you doing this weekend? Want to get married? There was a lot of confidence in that one.
wow.
Um, but what I did was make things,
Hmm.
they probably weren't the best, but I made things. And it was like to say, this is, and I had great joy in making these things, covers for pillows and,
Hmm.
a piece of artwork and, a banana bread or something.
Yeah.
And when my kids got a little older, I made them make their gifts.
Hmm.
So it wasn't as direct, I mean, my first Christmas tree was in North Carolina and it looked like Peanuts had cut it, the cartoon Peanuts.
Yeah.
By the time I got it into where I was staying, um, because I was living in this woods, which was beautiful, but I picked this tree. By the time I got it was like a stick and there was hardly any needles left,
Oh, wow.
you know. But it was like, well, that was my first Christmas tree, but it wasn't like I wasn't charging or paying, and I didn't want, I just wanted a little decorations.
Yeah.
But if we could have fun with it and not stress, as you say, and the value of going out and I make all my wreaths. I go out with what's ever available
Yeah.
and give them as gifts, give them as gifts because they're natural and I don't go and buy them.
Yeah. It's just to me like we keep feeding into this system that obviously is not best suited for our well-being, right? But people keep feeding into the system because, I mean, we can talk about bills and inflation and all that stuff. However, on an individual level, everybody has a set of choices that they can make to kind of alleviate that pain, right? We don't all have to go all in and try to do all the things that is expected. People can slowly start to make small changes in the way they go about things. And I
I
feel,
think
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ted.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think people are beginning to. I
Mm,
really do. I think this has been the great push to say, this doesn't work. I get stressed, feel good. And I'm looking around from what 5 years ago,
mhm.
how people have changed. So I think it's a good thing that we are looking at this
So
and
are you
saying,
saying that you're seeing a change? Because I don't.
yeah, oh, okay, but I do. I've been
Okay.
seeing it because don't forget now, I've been doing this a long time. I'm older. I think a couple years older.
I see. Okay. So I guess,
So
yes, please tell me
yeah,
about the
so when I
changes
was
that you see.
younger, it like I said, the energies were a lot heavier, a lot thicker.
I
I
see.
I felt like I needed a machete to go anywhere because it was extremely heavy.
I
Um,
see.
you know, what you see, a lot has been done, and so they're adjusting to what has been done, but
Mm-hmm.
more out in the open of what needs to be cleaned up and changed.
Mm-hmm.
And the, e- each generation comes with different equipment.
Yeah.
You came with different equipment from me, where you're going, well, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. That's what my parents' generation did, right? You're coming in and saying, no, 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 we're going to skip that. We don't need to do that anymore. So you're coming in with a cleaner palette,
Mm-hmm.
where um, there were tons of wars going on, from parents, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all of that. So it was repairing from all of that. And this is like where you're at, and most of us now are going into this new path, this new direction of how do we want to make this world now,
Mm-hmm.
this new energy? How do we want to create a better life
I see.
so that we're not working 24/7 and we're lucky if we have Sunday off.
Yes.
And
I
some
see.
people do. They're working 24/7 all the time to make
Yeah.
ends meet, you
Yeah.
know?
So what you just mentioned is very interesting because I do believe that every generation comes with its own programming. Okay, I'm Gen X, so to like a Gen Z person, I'm old, right? But then you
Yeah,
have, the baby
yeah.
boomer generation.
They're looking at you like you're an old man.
Yeah, so I guess there's this concept of old programming versus new programming, right?
Mhm.
because I feel like we still have a big portion of the population still operating under the old programming. And even if it's not of their generation, it's being transferred, right? A lot of people, like people my age, were raised under the old programming. So you have to actively wash yourself from it. Otherwise, you pretty much caught into that old programming, right? So in your opinion, like what would you say would give people a chance of clearing themselves of that old programming and kind of open up their minds to what's to come?
But that's excellent because that's what people are questioning. How do I get out of this and walk into the new doors? One is to get away from television,
Hmm.
unless it's, something light, easy breezy, but not a programming type of, I mean, that's why they call it programming, like
Hmm.
programs. Put the phone down.
Hmm.
Um, I drive, when I'm driving, I see people crossing the street, not even noticing that there's cars
Hmm.
with the phone in front of their face.
Hmm.
Put the phone down. I mean, really, is it that urgent on a cross street to listen to whatever it is they're listening to?
Hmm.
Um, it becomes extremely addictive.
Yes.
Take more time to be with yourself. Get to be comfortable with being alone with yourself. Most A lot of people are not comfortable with themselves to be alone. And when they are alone, they have to have the rhetoric of something in their ear playing. If it's music, music can be extremely positive,
Hmm.
or programming again.
Yeah.
All these tools have been conditioning people for agendas,
Hmm.
and it's going on right now, full force. How do you get away? It's a cleansing. It's a cleansing of the of the phones, the television. Get out to nature. If you're living in a city, there's parks.
Hmm.
Go to a park. Go to a beach. Walk.
Hmm.
Just be alone for a while.
Yeah.
Look at everything that you're doing. Are you addicted to shopping?
Yeah.
Try and stop. What do go in your closet and see how much you've got crammed in your closet.
Yeah.
Look at all your surroundings. How are your surroundings, again, affecting you?
Hmm.
You know, it's feeding. We have food in many ways, what we listen to,
Yes.
what we see,
Yes.
and what we eat.
Yeah.
And the company we keep, are they so programmed that they just want to hear themselves talk and give you advice? Get a break from those people. Get a break. And if one's addicted to that behavior, notice it. And again, go in the woods, take a vacation. And even if you don't have money, you can take a vacation. You can walk somewhere,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are very stressed right now because they do not have money.
Yeah.
And I know what that's like. I mean, having two children and a single mom,
Hmm.
I thought, how can I make things work without any money? And yet not have them in fear
Hmm.
of, oh, we have no money. You
Yeah.
know, I would go to the beach. I would walk. I would take them on hikes. We would make things out of simple things. They had more joy. My two sons had more joy, not of the gift, as
Hmm.
in Christmas or
Yeah.
birthdays, but it was the box
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
they could carve and make a fort. They didn't really. The gift was fine,
Yeah.
it's a gift. But Christmas time, if you get a lot of children together, they rip and tear to see what's in it, and then they collect all the boxes and make a fort. And that's what boys do. Okay, girls, you can give them very simple things and they'll be happy. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
very very happy.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, because I I've had conversations And as you may know, a lot of the work that I'm doing, a lot of the research I'm doing is around the energy that we carry. This kind of become our energy field. And one thing that I had to come to terms with, like very recently, is the fact that a lot of the pain, the energy, the emotional baggage that people carry from the past kind of traps them with that programming because you are attached to your pain, right? Let's say that you grew up in an environment where you thought you were poor, right? So you spend your whole life trying to get away from that. So
Mhm.
now, as an adult, you're gonna force yourself to do things to prove to yourself that you're not poor.
Right.
So as much as we want to get away from that programming, the energy of that pain that you're carrying is still keeping you entrapped in that programming. So one thing that, in my opinion, would be helpful in terms of allowing yourself to see things differently is to release the pain, the old wounds, to let go of the pain of the old emotional baggage, that so you can fully open yourself to a new way of doing things. Because if you have some sort of rivalry with your siblings, right? You have some kind of resentment against somebody, you will keep acting a certain way just to keep that energy alive. And you don't even know you're doing it, you know? So if you get to the point where you're able to release that baggage, then you clear your system to receive new information. And I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with. They don't have enough bandwidth to receive more new data. They're still running on the old data, which is mostly pain and fear and all that resentment that they've been carrying from the past.
This is all so true, and that's why if you do have siblings, you look at them as their teachers, their teachers.
Hmm.
And if you grow up, I mean, I grew up where we didn't have very much money, but
Hmm.
my mother was very creative, and I learned how to be creative. But you look around, and the siblings they're going to take everything differently. How does the lack of certain items that, let's say, your school mates have, that,
Hmm.
I grew up in a very wealthy town, and people were very, very wealthy. And I fortunately would look at them as examples.
Hmm.
And when you learn from example, how did they create this?
Yeah.
And how did they get joy out of it? Or did they take it for granted?
Mhm.
You look at their siblings and, well, how did they react? They took it for granted, or they didn't appreciate it, or they appreciated it. And so if these ones that did break the patterns
Mhm.
of lack of can be the examples for others. It does not take many to bring along the consciousness. It's like, I think, 8% of the population that can be the example for others. And it goes through the consciousness of
Yeah.
all of us. Just like what my son said when papers were flying. I think he even did an art piece on it where they're just flying around. He says it's already in the consciousness.
It's on the
How
wall.
I
One of my
how
favorite.
I broke the patterns, Eric. Yeah, how I
Yeah.
broke the patterns. He probably saw it another level and said, "Well, I'll take that, mother." Because she was able to break the patterns.
Yeah.
Um, and so some don't. They'll work to death,
Mm.
proving that they're wealthy, or
Yeah.
they don't have lack, but they will work to death doing it, and they lose perspective. Others can look at that and say, "Oh my God, that person worked all their life and then just drop dead
Mm.
and
Yeah.
didn't enjoy it." Didn't enjoy it. Enjoyed it somewhat, to say I have X amount in the bank and I have a big house and everybody knows I've got, a nice car and but they're not, they may enjoy it, they may not,
Yeah.
So we're all examples.
Yeah.
And and I really believe that's what's helping the consciousness of all of us to say, well, they broke it. And it's something now in my system
Hmm.
where I really need, do I need 100 pair of sneakers or do I need three? You know? Um, yeah, I really believe we are coming along and these are actually going to be incredible times. We
Yeah.
are in the cusp. We're on the cusp of people saying, I don't think we need 100 pairs of sneakers. Three will do.
Yeah. You know, you don't need an Amazon delivery every day of the week.
No,
Because
no.
that itself becomes an addiction. Like you keep getting these little packages from Amazon.
It's, it's
Um,
people that, again, Christmas, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
it's a Christmas attitude of how many packages oh, what's on the doorstep, you know? He
yeah,
got it. He understood it. People want packages. People want gifts.
yeah. It's
And
hard, like I guess it's fair to like admit that change is hard because we live in a society that we've been hardwired to think a certain way and do things a certain way. And you have the whole network around you, your social life, social status. It's almost like a religion nowadays. It's hard to break out of that. So it's one thing to hear, right, to receive this information, but it takes some doing. I don't think, well, I can't, make any assumption about how people feel about it, but I feel like there's a lot of information circulating, right? It's a lot out there already being talked about, but how much of it is actionable? What do we do with this information? Because to make change, it has to be intentional,
Mhm.
right? So you've worked with people over the years and you do your best to help them as much as they can, as much as you can. It comes to a point where they have to kind of carry their load, right?
Yes.
So how do you deal with or manage that aspect of it all when it comes to the part where the person has to commit to a certain set of actions in order to see that change happen?
You can tell when you're working with someone if they're really have that passion to become more, or if they just want to like get so far and sit on the bench and
Hmm.
wait for the next bus.
Yeah.
So you don't, it's not a judgment. It's like, okay, this is where they want to stay at this point, and maybe they'll get a ticket later and catch up. There is, which is an incredible time right now.
Hmm.
Energies, the earth moves in certain um, parts. The earth moves in parts of the universe where we are getting incredible energy that is waking people up. The
Hmm.
human resonance has been very high lately. It's been going up and down, up and down. People are waking up, and that has been a useful tool from the God force, from the creator of all.
Hmm.
And and in this waking up process, they're going in within and getting the tools that they've already have. They go within and start opening up their contractual agreements of why they came here. And it's like eye-opening. It's like they have a new zest for life. They may completely change, but in that changing period, they notice things with their bodies. And this is lately a lot of people:
Hmm.
headaches, nauseous, aches and pains, tummy aches, dizziness. And when they call me up, my clients, and tell me this, I get very excited and I tell them. And at first they go, how can you, I don't feel good. And I go, no, 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 that's the process. You are expanding. This is the process.
Yeah.
Your waterways are being cleaned out. That's where the information goes through, the waterways.
Mm.
So the old, as you say, patterns or information or what was given to them from their parents or grandparents, aunt and uncles, it's it's like stickiness, and this energy helps clean it up, like Drano in a pipe, and they are feeling it, and so their whole body and their electrical system is being changed
Yeah.
so that they can adapt to these changes. Now, some can really fight it, and they may fight it a lot because they don't want to progress, and they may get very sick from it. But they chose to come here, and this time they raised their hand and ran to that little door to say, let me come. I want to come," because these are some of the greatest times anybody will experience on this earth because of the evolution of this earth. The evolution because the earth is multidimensional as we are.
Oh yeah.
So we are adapting now to the next stage of our journeys. And people are noticing they are changing their way of thinking, their way of eating, and if even their like jobs, uh, working at it differently, changing their professions,
Yeah.
their relationship. They're either going to Hawaii or they're advancing and growing together, which
Yeah.
I see a lot of the the relationships of husband and wives or girlfriend and boyfriend or partners, whatever they are, partners, they are advancing and growing and loving it because more love is emanating from their solar energy. Their solar energy is their heart, and it's opening up, and they are receiving more love and giving and receiving. So this is actually a very fantastic time where the human is going on more than what I've been told. And I see more than what is being told.
Yeah.
I'm loving myself. I love myself. And I love the person that is in front of me, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
So I think it's great times. I think it's
That's
fabulous.
beautiful. It's beautiful. And yeah, this is true. I think it's just the general awareness is shifting. Um, there are things that barely gets talked about before. Now it's like, just basic conversation. You know?
That's the thing. Do you notice your conversations like we were in the last few years not able to talk about anything? We
Yeah.
were like banned or hushed, and all of a sudden it's an explosion. The dam broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is,
Yeah. So it's a great opportunity to again, get the word out there. Because to me, like, okay, a lot of these conversations, right? Like, I'm sure anybody that comes to you, they come to you because they have something going on in their lives, right?
mm,
So it's almost like, like a crisis or something that needs to be fixed, right? So it usually starts that way. However, the moment you start having these conversations, your eyes open to a completely different world, right? So that awareness alone, right? Because we talk about self-awareness, the journey of self-awareness. And I don't think people realize that self-awareness is a spiritual journey.
Mm.
The more you get to know and understand about your own nature, the more you understand about the universe, creation, life itself, you know. So to me, when you start to have these conversations about understanding ourselves, that's the beginning of people starting to opening their eyes to the fact that we're multi-dimensional entities and there's more to life than retail and political debates. And, this becomes an opportunity to kind of expand people's minds about these things that, you know, just a few years or not that long ago was like this big mystery subject. But then we're realizing this is just what we are. It doesn't have to be mystical. This is our nature.
Yes.
We're
Yeah. Yeah.
multi-dimensional entities. You don't have to be some woo-woo person to
Right.
come to terms with that fact.
Yes. It's and and to say it, so many people are afraid to say it, you
Yeah,
know? Once you say it, again, your dam is broken. So it's like, oh, I said it. I
yeah,
am it. I
yeah,
am what I am,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So it becomes easier and easier. And the more you do that, you start pulling in like minds.
yeah,
I have done the same. And that is a fun trip.
yeah.
Tevi, when people first come, they don't know what to expect. And then after, it's like, like it's going to be scary or painful because it's a time for them to look within of what they desire or who they are and where they've been in other timelines. But once they do, this is going to be fun. This is fun. Don't look at anything as work anymore. Like
Uh,
this is work. That's again another program. Everything is work.
yeah.
You go out to your yard, in your gardens. It should be fun. You should be talking to the insects and the birds and the flowers and everything. But it's like, I got to go out and work in my garden. I've got to go, you know, to whatever profession you have. I have to go to work.
And
So
work
it
hard.
it brings you down to
And work
another
hard.
level. It's like, you're putting on your work clothes, right?
Yeah.
Work clothes to go out in the yard, work clothes to go to your job. I had a funny incident where I had, my suit on, go to my office, and then I came home and I forgot I had pearls on and pearl earrings, pearl necklace. And I go and put a t-shirt on and shorts and I go out to my garden. And this girl who lived down the street said, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. And I said, well, why is that? And she said, anybody that can work in their garden with their pearls on, that's how I want to be.
Um,
I'm like, but,
cool.
how fun,
Yeah.
why not?
Why not?
Get dressed up. My father would get dressed up, to go to the grocery store or
Mhm.
work outside. He had the coolest sweaters with patches on them. And I thought,
Oh,
what does?
yeah.
Because you know why? They didn't look at it as like they're going out to work. There could be neighbors out there that they could chat with.
Yep. That's just life.
Yeah.
That's just life.
So
Yeah.
that's what we have to go back to.
Yeah. Let's get back to the excitement of things. Just the joy of being and doing. Because what else is there? Life comes at you anyways. Might as well have fun at it.
And I think this is the most important thing too, is to stay. And people don't realize this, but you have to stay in the moment.
Yeah.
You have to. I went to a meeting the other day. I won't tell you what kind of, but it was a meeting with people, and they were so concerned about how the outcome, from the political races all around the world, what's going to happen, and everybody had an opinion, and there was probably about 25 people there.
You mean you had a meeting with humans?
Yes, of course we bring our others, with humans, and yeah, it wasn't the board meeting on the other level with the others. These were humans, and it was like they were all talking about the outcome, all these different agendas, and it was like, I go, okay, I had to put in my little peanut self and say, can we? There are people here that have just lost everything. Can we stay in the moment and see what kind of help they need from us?
Yeah.
Because that's what this group is about. Not the information like you were talking about. There's so much information everywhere, and everybody wants to talk about what they've heard. I heard this on X, Y, and Z. And then somebody else would say, well, I heard, ABC. And they go on, and they're quibbling about their knowledge.
Mhm.
And it was like, wait a minute. There's people here that need help. Can we ask them what they need? Well, let's stay in the moment. They
Yeah.
lost them. We're somewhere in the future.
Yep. Yeah.
Stay here. Stay here. And you'll be more powerful.
Yeah, because the
The,
energy is in the present. There's no energy in the future. There's no energy in the past. The energy is only in now. If you want to
right,
harvest any energy at all, it's all here. Anything that you're projecting outside of right now, you're actually spending energy projecting it because you're
right,
literally burning up energy trying to create an image of something that has not happened yet. So the only place you can actually harness any kind of energy is in the present.
right.
So, and
Yeah,
that's the
Tevi,
difference.
I I told you I had the healing circle with, 12 women plus myself making it 13.
Yeah.
And everybody expected me to have like an agenda. And, made great food. Everybody had great fire. I had a huge fire,
Nice.
had everybody outside eating. And it was to be in the moment,
Yeah.
totally in the moment. And the energy was so high because I didn't speak. It was like being in the moment. And after everybody goes, my God, it was so wonderful. But what was this about? What was the agenda about? And I said, just a gathering of a collectiveness of all of us to be together and join and
See?
enjoy. And
Yeah.
that was it. And they were confused that there was no agenda. And
Yeah.
yet they had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Like when you're kids
Yeah.
and you've made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you go out to the sandbox and there are the kids. We didn't carry an agenda with us. We carried a toy.
Yeah.
That was it. And hope that we didn't get sand in our jelly and peanut butter sandwich. And we let the day unfold, right?
Yep. Let's
That's Debbie, that's when we need to go again.
just being in the moment.
And we had great times.
Yeah. Everything lives in the moment. The answers, the energy, the courage, the inspiration, all of it. All of it, you can harvest it from the moment. But if you get in the habit of jumping ahead or like camping back in the past or whatever happened back then, you just punching holes in your own money bag. It's never gonna add up. Never gonna add up. So I mean, these things that we kind of talk about lightly, but I mean, these are the key to
These are the keys.
yeah,
These are keys.
these are the keys. So hopefully somebody's paying attention.
Oh, it's going into the bank of consciousness,
Yeah.
right? And we
Yeah.
don't worry about things like that. It goes into the bank of consciousness.
Yeah.
It's just like my artwork and painting, you know,
Yeah.
it's been in the consciousness. And I had a great conversation with all that there is, and my guides and angels and crowds of star people,
Yeah.
and it's all there.
Yeah.
It's
And
all
it's
there.
been there, you know? It's been there. It's you just have to open your eyes and your ears.